We're going to call the meeting of the Port of Morrow to order, October 27th, 2025. Could we have introductions, please, Randy?
You guys want to start?
Kelly Doherty, Port Commissioner.
Rick Stilko, Port. Danny Kearns, Port Commissioner.
Lisa Millstar, Port of Morrow. Eileen Hendricks, Port of Morrow.
Mark Gavin, Port of Morrow.
And Brandy Warburton, Port of Morrow. Then we'll go to online, start with John
John Murray, Port of Morrow.
and Joel,
Joel Peterson, Port of Morrow.
Sam,
Sam Tucker, Port Attorney.
Patricia. Patricia, can you identify yourself? Okay. And then Hapner Gazette. Okay, that is it.
Okay, thank you, Brandy. We'll move on then to conflict of interest declarations. It's kind of a new thing for us. Does anyone have anything to declare might be a conflict on the agenda today? Okay. Thank you, everyone. We will get right into business then. Old business, CDA fiscal agent. Lisa, would you mind leading us in this discussion?
Yes. One quick thing, John, did you get the email where I asked if we could go directly into executive session? One of our lawyers has a time constraint, so I told him that we would go there first. And
I'm
then
sorry,
come
I did
back.
not see that. No, but we can certainly do that. I'm sorry, I didn't hear it or didn't see that. So then we are going to go directly into executive session. Before we go into the old business and CDA fiscal agent, I will need to get to where I can read that declaration though. So just one moment, please. Okay, executive session. The port will hold an executive session meeting for the permissible reasons stated below under ORS 1926602. Representatives of the news media and designated staff and other persons shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience will be asked to leave the room. The public virtual Zoom meeting link will be closed during the executive session as permissible executive session meetings are not subject to House Bill 2560. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision will be made in this executive session. A, for the purpose of consideration of deliberations with the port's executive director and other staff members who have been designated by the port to negotiate real property transactions, ORS 1926602E. And B, for the purpose of consultation with counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed, ORS 1926602H. So at this time, we will exit the general meeting and go into executive session. Brandy, if you could see that that's done, please.
Yes, and for the members online, you can go wait right here. We will turn off our audio and our video and we will exit the room and we'll come back when we are ready to resume regular session. John and Joel, you'll have to go to the other link.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll resume our regular session of the Port of Morrow meeting for October 27th, 2025. We were about to go into old business, but do we need to add an agenda item or can we do it under other for possible actions we discussed earlier or in an executive session?
We can do it under other.
Okay. All right.
New. I say new.
Under new. Okay, we'll put it under new
Well,
business, you think?
We haven't talked about it in public meeting yet, so I think it's new.
Okay. Okay. We will go into our first item of old business then, CDA fiscal agent. I need to ask a favor though, if I can please. I have to go open up for just a moment. Rick, would you mind chairing the meeting for a few minutes until I can get back, please?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we'll turn it over to staff for, discussion.
Okay. And the reason that we called the special meeting today is because CDA has a meeting scheduled for tomorrow. And we had said previously that we would continue providing the fiscal agent services to the CDA until our November meeting, which is November 12th. If we didn't have this special meeting, CDA may not have had their meeting tomorrow, which has a lot of action items on it. So that's the reason I called the special meeting for this topic. I would like to talk about this, but I would also like to recommend that we continue to provide the fiscal agent services for the CDA until sometime in the future. That could be June 30th of 2026, the end of our fiscal year. Because we don't have any other partner right now that has stepped up to take that role. If another partner does want to take that role, perhaps it would come up at their CDA meeting tomorrow. Then we could kind of then turn things over, but as it sits right now, the IGA requires one of the partners to be the fiscal agent. That's a requirement of the IGA.
So what would that look like?
It would mean that we would continue to, manage any future grant dollars, could they be state dollars or federal dollars that the CDA might.
We currently do not participate, nor do we have copies of the ODOT grant.
Right.
And I believe they have negotiated with ODOT for them to manage the grant for the CDA. But to say we have no knowledge, we don't have records, we've never seen a copy of the grant agreement. And by we, I mean, court staff is not associated with, the CDA directly. So I think that would be any federal grant that would require,
Or any other state grant.
if in fact it requires a fiscal agent services.
Right.
Yeah, you,
New grant, and the reason I'm saying that is because I know that Connect Oregon is coming up with a new round of funding. It's likely the CDA would want to apply for a Connect Oregon grant. I would if I was them.
So right now, they've come out with a statement that they are actually doing their own banking, paying their own grant funds out of their own account. So what are we actually doing right now?
Or providing the fiscal agent role per the IGA.
Currently, we're still paying to staff.
And that's it.
And
Mhm.
if they move to a contract situation, we wouldn't even have to pay staff.
So we have no money coming in, no money going out besides staff.
So we've been fiscal agent on a lot of other grants without being, and all we deal with, and generally all we deal with, and really all we dealt with, or we're supposed to deal with CDA was the grant dollars.
Yeah, it looks like to me, according to their bank statements and everything, they're signing their own checks, providing their own grant people right now. Whoever's doing that, they've put money towards a program to do this, hired an agent to do this. I don't understand why we, and they don't even have it on the agenda, Lisa. There's no action items on the agenda for tomorrow.
For what?
And nothing. There's updates is all. They are not taking any responsibility for this whatsoever.
Kelly, we as a partner of the IGA have a requirement, the IGA requires one of us to be the fiscal agent.
I understand that. So why don't they have it on the agenda when they ask Umatilla? Umatilla hasn't made even a public comment about if they're going to do it or not.
Well, I get to be the board member tomorrow, so I can ask that.
Well, it's not even on the agenda. That's my point, is they're just not taking care of their own business. And we're taking care of it for them, and You've been thrown under the bus and Eileen's been thrown under the bus, and I don't understand why we're continuing to do that.
Joel, did you have some?
Well, my comment is the simplest straightforward way would be to change the IGA. But
Right.
you can't get any interest in doing that, even something that simple. It's difficult to get to agree on doing something, and I think the port remaining fiscal agent is almost necessary, or it might grind to a halt. And they don't seem to care.
To change the IGA requires an affirmative vote of all 5 board members.
All 5, yes, and I'd take all 5, and there's not, yeah. But still,
We can bring it up tomorrow.
So what is the port's, I guess, risk at continuing to be the fiscal agent?
Yes, that's my concern too, Rick. Personally, if we can get a contract and 1099 employee for the CDA, then I might entertain the notion of being fiscal agent, because we're not going to do anything unless we receive a grant. I wonder if us as the fiscal agent will put any grant opportunities in the future. Is it going to help, hurt? What kind of chances? I would hope not, but I don't want to also damage any chances for a grant. But if we're not actually doing anything because they're taking care of their own work and we don't have 2 employees, that muddy the water between CDA and port as whose employee they are and whose policies they follow, et cetera, et cetera. We know we have current litigation with one of them. So I want to get away from that as best we can, please.
Well, and I would agree, John. I think that the sooner we can get out of the management of staff, the better off we are. And that's why I strongly, and I've always said this should have been a contract. I know the government wouldn't allow a contract, but this needs to be a contract moving forward, just so that we don't have to do a post issue. I don't know what the negative side of us being fiscal agent is, as long as it's not costing us money. And it's not putting us in a position where we're gonna be liable for money. I think we need to continue this process, because in order for the CDA to continue to function, somebody's gotta do it.
What partners owe us money at this point?
Everybody but Porter and Helen. So on their agenda, they have number 6, return to work session, and A says fiscal agent on their agenda.
Mhm.
So I don't know if they've modified it since you looked
They
at it.
have been.
They have that, they have the DEO bank account signers resolution. They have, a number of policies and procedures. They have the fiscal year 25-26 budget approval.
This has all changed then since.
But they also
And they have
have an employee handbook at the end.
Yeah, employee handbook. They have didn't they have the audit, the 23, an audit from a couple of years ago.
Was like 23.
And that's because they have to modify the report to take away the funding on their failure to prepare a budget.
Yeah.
Lisa's, your comment about how much is owed to us from our previous actions as fiscal agent, it just added another reason why I'm hesitant to continue being the fiscal agent unless certain conditions are met. You know, if we're out money because our partners haven't paid into the fiscal agent fund, so to speak, and we have to have employees that we have liabilities with, I'm not in favor of this until those 2 things are fixed, my opinion. I've got to step away for just a moment. I apologize.
And I kind of question the fact that we're signing checks without any of the board approvals for wages. They have no idea what we're signing. I think at best, their board should know or be signing those checks that are going out to the employees. At this point, there's nobody on the board signing those checks, approving that, and that was part of the problem that we had was nobody was overseeing those funds being spent and just being spent. There's no budget for us to even expend those funds at this point. They haven't passed a budget.
Oh,
But they determined that they're not legally
required.
Yeah,
So how
But
do we know
there-
what to, how do we know what to pay them?
But there is a budget going to be passed, or it's on the agenda, isn't it? Or,
yeah, it's on the agenda to pass the budget. In the past, the salary levels were always tied to the federal grant.
and now they're in the budget, this new budget, so.
Well, I would say as far as paying, staff, again, if there's a contract, that's not gonna be an issue for us, period. Two, once the budget's been set, this commission doesn't review payroll before it's, or approve payroll before it's sent out. It's done by the executive director. So, I don't think that should be any different for this committee. I wouldn't think that they would have a need to, get into the weeds when it comes to approving payroll every month. Once it's in the budget, it's in the budget, so,
So we can let each partner know, obviously, what they owe to date and tell them that we expect to be paid for
Mhm.
what they owe us right now.
I absolutely think that they need to catch up what they owe.
Of course they do.
But in the meantime, if we need to continue this role, I don't think we jeopardize, not taking that responsibility on, as long as it's not gonna subject us to other issues.
So I have a question, Lisa. So the IGA specifies that we have to be the fiscal agent.
No, it's specified.
Well,
one
someone,
part.
one of the parts too. So right now, they are doing their own fiscal agent. They have hired someone who is paying the bills and doing those contracts and doing the ODOT contract. What is the need for us to continue it? Why they've hired this person, besides the fact that the IGA is there, we're not currently being the fiscal agent.
Well, we are.
How?
No,
They're paying bills.
what they're saying is that's not a fiscal agent job. Guess right or wrong. That the person they've hired is not filling the fiscal agent role, but as a bookkeeper or record, yeah.
Well, they're doing the grants.
No, the grant's being done by an ODOT employee.
It's coming into their BEO account and going out through their BEO
Well,
account.
Correct. But they're not actually filling out any of the quarterly or monthly grants.
You're doing that?
No, ODOT's doing it for them. I've never heard of it before, but that is what's happening. And so then when they get the check from ODOT, they pay the invoices that they submit. So they submit their invoices. And then ODOT knows whatever they do, and then they send them a check. They pay whoever those contractors were.
So
Mhm.
where's the money coming in from? I see the money from Umatilla County, or Umatilla, Port of Umatilla going into their Bank of EO account. Where's the money coming in?
Okay.
Our account to pay for the wages?
It's not, that's the point.
So,
I guess I think whatever this discussion, it's hard to untangle everything that has happened in the past and to get that all straightened out. But if we get to a contract, we get the land separated, get this agreement in place, this is gonna be a simpler operation than it currently is. I certainly think CDA can do a better job, but it's a tangled web. But contract and the land separated out, this will be simpler.
I agree.
Could I kind of summarize what I'm hearing? That maybe the issues can be separated into categories that the port could agree to fulfill the role of fiscal agent as named in the IGA. And those that would include, if as required, handling the grant obligations, but the port is assuming absolutely no responsibility whatsoever in any kind for supervision or paying of employees. That is not a fiscal agent duty that we will perform, and that the port will only continue this in any respect until a date certain, unless you know, November 1st, December 31st, until all back amounts are paid in full. Uh, we have different issues. We have the issue of the need for a fiscal agent, and the issue of not wanting any more responsibility whatsoever for those employees. We could even require that there should be some contract that they approve so that there is no obligation for those employees. Just an idea.
Mhm.
I think I'd like to see what they do tomorrow before we make a decision to continue. They may change the IGA, which would eliminate this whole. And we don't know exactly what Umatilla County is gonna come back and say. They need, they were asked last time to come back and they said they needed some time, needed some information. But they haven't brought forward if they're going to do it or not.
Is changing the IGA on their agenda? No,
I don't
they're
know.
not gonna change the
I-
IGA tomorrow.
And the IGA it requires written documents changing the IGA.
Yeah,
So-
that's not gonna happen tomorrow.
Okay, John, are you wanting to take it back?
I'm not, Rick. I have to step away. Anytime I'm off camera, I have to step out, Rick. So if you don't mind continuing, I sure appreciate it. Which
It's not a problem. Anything else from staff on this issue?
No, I mean, I'm hoping that we will be settled in our lawsuit soon. Don't know that. We've been
Because
hearing
it's
that for quite a while.
been implied that when that's settled and they can dispose of property, the CDA would pay us back.
Mhm.
But whether that in fact happens, I don't know.
How
Mhm.
much do we need to have repaid? Pardon? How much do we need to have repaid currently?
I've been on a lot of vacation, I
Oh.
would have to look it up.
Mhm.
So we're getting absolutely no funding from them
Mm-mm.
to pay the employees, but they're putting in money, somebody's, Port of Umatilla is putting in money into another account. We're not getting reimbursed for our part, so how does that, there's money in their account, why aren't they paying their salaries out of it? Why are we responsible for paying their salaries when they already owe us so much? Why don't we stop paying them? Make them at least pay us the money for those salaries. They've got money in their account. The BEO's statement shows it.
How much do they have in their account?
It was 100 and some thousand.
And is that from,
Yeah, there's two things, you need to make sure that none of that's grant money.
Yeah, the
that's
187 came in and went out.
That's meant for the road construction. So
CDA
currently,
took
Port of
those.
Umatilla is paying 17,000 something a month,
Yeah,
which was the annual amount that they submitted to all the partners. So we paid a quarter. We paid 50 some thousand, whatever 17 times 3 is. Port of Umatilla's been paying 17 each month, so they paid more than a quarter of that. None, to my knowledge, or the last time I saw the books, none of the other partners are submitting any funds towards, the annual budget. But there again, I don't think there was ever an agreement about how that was all gonna work. Greg made some assumptions. And, it's just a matter of whether you were on board with working that out or not. Yes, if everyone were paying their their monthly or quarterly amounts in, yes, I think they should have reimbursed us for payroll. But yes, I think we absolutely need to get payroll off our books. They
Mhm.
need to become either CDA employees or contract with the CDA.
So you don't think that the $17,000 a month that the Port of Umatilla is putting in here, why isn't that going to us as the fiscal agent? I don't understand that.
Well, because we've never asked them for it, because they were supposed to make decisions months ago, and then they didn't meet for 3 months.
Mhm.
I just think we're getting the sharp end of the stick.
Well, we can easily ask CDA to provide the money that Port Umatilla has sent to them. I don't know why Port Umatilla sent it to them instead of us.
Yeah, that's what, like,
Well, because that's who invoiced them. They got an invoice, just like we got an invoice for $200 and some thousand. That was stupid too. You know, which partner is going to want to put in a whole year's worth of expenses up front?
did we?
No, we put in a quarter.
And then we had extra expenses on top of that quarter, is that correct? Lots of expenses on top of the quarter, so we're in. 90,000? Maybe more, 750,000?
We will find out.
Well, it depends on which number you want and whether you want legal fees in there, and did we agree on the property? You know, there's just a lot of reasons not to just walk in there and get it. Cause there's a lot of open questions.
Well, I hope they get discussed tomorrow, and I hope that, you know, the budget get passed, so that's what's holding up, I think, CTIR from dispersing their funds, is because they don't have a budget, and they don't know what they're gonna be asked for if they don't have a budget approved. They don't have the budget approved, and he's not willing to take it to his board until that's approved, and it just keeps getting, you know, further down the line and further down the line, and.
I don't disagree with your analysis, but we're not gonna solve it here today.
Yeah. But we're not being the fiscal agent if we're not running all the funds through our channels, and they're going to.
They've always had
They're going
another
offshore.
account, Kelly, they've always had another account. that
Yeah,
handles themselves.
Yeah, no, it was strictly, it was a grant requirement to
Mhm.
have a fiscal agent at the time. It was a grant requirement to make them employees and not contract. Because they tried to make that change in 2015.
Yeah, yeah.
And they weren't allowed to do that. And we were only ever signed on for that specific grant.
I have a quick question, maybe Sam could answer. What are our legal requirements for being a fiscal agent? Do we have any duties that we must perform? Or Eileen, do you know the answer to that? I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, Sam.
I don't have the answer for that. My suggestion was that there must be a fiscal agent name on it, but if we clarified what we would only do as a fiscal agent, John, to answer your question, I don't know. But it makes sense to me that we could say, okay, in name we're the fiscal agent, we will handle grant obligations, but we will not handle anything else related to employees or their payments or other matters. And under those circumstances only will we be the fiscal agent. And I don't know if the requirements are greater than that, but there's nothing wrong with putting that out there and seeing what happens.
Agreed. I
And
think
I
that's a
will
good
say
time.
that we've had the title of fiscal agent for other grants, and we call them pass-through grants. We're currently doing it for Ione and Hefner. We've done it in the past for a couple of the irrigation districts. Those were Oregon Water Resources grants. We've done pass-throughs for loan programs. I mean, we've done a lot of different things over the however many years I've been here. And there's a lot of other districts that do similar things for nonprofits or other cities or smaller organizations within their jurisdiction. It's a pretty common thing in Oregon, but it doesn't mean that we are the fiscal agent for all of CDA. And maybe we've always been, maybe we've never been in compliance with the IGA, I don't know.
So we could remain fiscal agent, and I don't know why an accountant can't pay an employee. That doesn't make any sense why that responsibility is being quote unquote a fiscal agent. You know, I have an accountant that pays an employee, that, you know, it's quite simple. So to be a fiscal agent, I'm with Sam, let's separate our duties. You know, if we have to be a fiscal agent for a grant, I'm fine with that. But to separate that employment part out and go a different direction, I'm fine with being a fiscal agent if we were doing it for the grant purposes and it comes to a municipality and we have those resources, and that's not something that maybe the accountant is comfortable with, or maybe even, I don't know if they're legal to be a fiscal agent, accountant or not. I don't know why they wouldn't be.
Is that a form of motion?
Sure, I would make a motion that the Port of Morrow remain fiscal agent for grant purposes only.
Would be willing to.
Would
If
be
someone else
willing
wants
to.
it,
Mhm.
Be fiscal agent for grant purposes only.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries.
Okay, so
Okay.
now we have to decide how long we're going to continue payroll.
I think we
So,
listened. I'm sorry, I think we see how the meeting goes, Lisa, and convey
Yeah.
to the group that this is the wishes of the Port of Morrow. 1090, we don't want employees. I mean, the guardrails that Sam put on there are what, as soon as they can get things, their house in order to have a contract employee, great.
If no one, I think if no one wants to step up, no one else, no other entity, then we should all be willing to change the IGA.
Good point.
I agree.
Needs to be, and then the first step needs to be taken to do that.
Good.
Makes sense.
And if it's not on the agenda, add it into the meeting beforehand, because you can add things into the agenda before.
Mhm.
Okay, so
I guess you're gonna be there, Lisa, right?
currently we go until November 12th. With payroll.
I think that's plenty of time.
I think it was a pay period ending, would have to.
It was our commission meeting in November was the date that we set.
Mhm.
And
That
that's
gives
how
us
we
plenty
said
of
it.
time to
Yep.
set up
That's how we said it.
the
Okay,
payroll system.
So,
because the last pay period ending date is November 7th, and then we'll go to the 21st.
That basically gives them 2 weeks to get a contract in order.
I doubt they're gonna get a contract negotiated in 2 weeks, but that's a positive sign. It's on the agenda, I'm assuming to be discussed. So,
Mhm.
I think we reevaluated our next commission meeting, see where they are as far as contract and have that discussion then as far as payroll.
Agreed.
Why wouldn't they just continue paying for what he's receiving already until, I guess that would be.
But
I mean, that's what we're doing right now. We don't have,
it's not our, but again, I don't see that that's our issue.
no, it's not at all. That's what I'm saying is, right now. It's the same thing. We're just paying payroll. Why don't they just assume that payroll that we're paying? I mean, obviously nobody is. Argued that at all since.
Well, because they have a bank account that's gonna go in the hole if they do that without any revenue,
Well-
without partners paying their fair share.
There you go,
Mhm.
that's good incentive.
Yeah.
To get them to move on action items. Instead of, and Angel's right, you know, they're just not moving on. Dragging, this will,
Unfortunately, we've got an IGA that has nothing, it says nothing about payments and nothing about what if a partner doesn't pay. So,
yeah. Maybe that would be a job. When you change the ID, you need to,
Yeah.
which will, which will
Let's do
require
it
the
all together.
approval of every board member.
yeah, why not? Or if they don't agree to that, then they need to maybe, you know, Morrow County, who's basically just wants out, maybe that's a good opportunity for them to get out of the IGA completely. They don't wanna pay, they stated that publicly lots of times, why not ask them if that's a good time to get out?
Well, we could, but I think John has pointed out the IGA actually protects entities don't have to pay. There's a provision in there, which was unfortunate, but
Which needs to be corrected.
So I think the question before us though is whether we continue to set a deadline for payroll. Is that what your question was?
Yes.
And I would strongly recommend that we stay the course until we see if there's any movement on the CDA board to move forward in a contract basis.
I agree. We will get through this next payroll for them, but after that, it's what, a 2-week time period. We'll have a port commission meeting by that time. We'll know whether where the next paycheck's coming from, port or us, or the CDA.
And they can have additional meetings, you know, if they don't get everything done at this meeting, they can hold more meetings and get it done.
Mhm.
So I think at this point, we have a general consensus. I don't think it requires a vote, because we've already got a deadline in place, so.
Yep.
Okay.
Next on the agenda, under full business other,
We're going to do that under new.
you're gonna do it under new business. Okay, anything, else under old business?
No.
Okay, let's move on to new business. First thing on there is A for Morrow surplus auction item. There will be staff to provide a list there, so that's really good stuff. I expect everybody to be down there. Oh,
You know how to turn it, I think you'll be all right.
If I remember our policy correctly, there's no requirement for you to approve this list. It's just a requirement to make you aware of what the
Okay.
plans are.
And it was only over $5,000, but we just assumed that you probably would wanna know that we're going out now. Cause I don't know, any of this is over $5,000, but in total maybe it is.
That's what I meant, that's what I was about.
It's only considering that you might be asked about an option.
So do we need to approve it if it's a total over, or was it?
No, I
No,
don't know.
no, she has total authority.
Just notification
Okay,
is what you want.
And the only thing I don't see on this list is the old crane that's laying down at T3. We're also, looking at getting that scrapped also. It's been laying there for over 20 years. And it's no good for anything, it's just scrap.
And I'm not sure that it hasn't been previously declared surplus.
It has because we did try to sell it.
Yeah.
That could be remarked.
is there an
think it
official
is.
action to put things surplus, is this our official action?
Yes. This is just, you wanted to be notified.
And I don't think a date has been set yet, but it'll be in the paper, it'll be on our website. Typically, it's sealed bids that go to the shop.
I think you should put that out someplace publicly on our, with our communications persons to say that we're gonna have that and put it out.
Okay, so this doesn't require action for surplus.
No.
Item B.
Okay. Item B, do we have any action that we want to take on the, $1.2 million water bill that we are discussing.
All declare a potential conflict of interest in this matter based on the client or line.
Hmm. Okay,
Thank you. I would make a motion that we have Lisa continue to negotiate with Calby on this water bill, leaving and authorizing her to file a lawsuit if that is the case, if no progress is made toward resolution.
Okay, John made a motion, we have a second.
I'll second that. This is Joel.
Kelly's already got you there, Joel.
Oh. Okay.
We've got a motion, a second, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We have, opposed, same sign. Okay, we have 4, positive votes in the affirmative, 1 abstention, no, negative votes, so motion passes. And, Lisa will continue to, monitor the situation and try to resolve it.
Okay.
Okay, is there anything else under new business? Nothing else, anything else for the good of the order?
Just to thank you, Rick, for leading today. Thank you.
No problem, thank you. Okay, if there's nothing further, we'll go ahead and adjourn our our special commission meeting. And it looks like it's 2:30. Thank you, everybody.